Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. How are you guys doing today? I hope you guys are doing well. So you guys, on this channel I'll be doing everything that has to do with Germany and the German people, and today I'll be checking out what everyone gets wrong about Germans. You guys, I'm excited for this and let's check it out.
I spent 4 hours a day, 5 days a week for a year learning German. Was it worth it? Hey guys, and welcome back to our channel. I am Donnie, and along with my wife Aubrey, we are two Americans currently living in Germany with our baby, sharing all of our experiences living and traveling throughout Europe. I came to Germany for the first time in 2014 for a study abroad program while I was in university. Before I left for Germany, friends and family would say to me, "Wow, you're going to be in Germany and living with a German family. I bet you will be so immersed you will come back fluent in German." My program was only 5 weeks long, so the odds of that happening were actually quite low, but what I didn't expect was how English is spoken so ubiquitously in Germany that I would actually go back home knowing no more German than when I had left. And also English was spoken so ubiquitously that I feel confident using the word ubiquitously, even though my audience is generally around 70% Germans. They'll know that word. Well, we moved to Germany nearly 5 years ago now, and when we arrived, it's safe to say that I still didn't speak any German. However, it was my mission to master this language despite uninspiring quotes about learning German like, "Never knew before what eternity was made for. It is to give some of us a chance to learn German." Or, "Life's too short to learn German." So, what was my experience learning German? And most importantly, can I communicate with locals fluently? Well, that's exactly what I'm going to talk about today in my video. Mark Twain said it was a pain. Was learning German all in vain? When you're learning a language, there is a scale called the Common European Frameworks that ranges from A1 to C2. A1 being a complete beginner, B1 is the minimum standard you need to be able to handle day-to-day conversations and get German citizenship, for example. C1 is generally where you can express yourself spontaneously, have a fairly broad vocabulary, and can talk about nearly any subject you want without trouble. In fact, it is so difficult to achieve C1, Germany will give you citizenship in only 3 years rather than the normal 5 if you can even reach this level. C2 is for those that are masochists and don't know how to stop. One of my goals for the year was to have improved my German enough that I felt confident enough to join a local Verein. Basically a social club where I knew local Germans would just be communicating in, well, German. I wanted to do this to push myself in speaking more German by getting more immersed amongst Germans, to be able to meet people with common interests, and just to have fun, I guess. So to give you an idea of where I am at, I of course started here, and I am now here actually. I received my C1 German certificate at the beginning of the year. It is debated as to when one can call themselves fluent per se, but it is generally around this level that someone should be able to say, "I'm fluent in a language." So technically, I should be able to have fluent conversations about basically any subject with Germans in the wild. Of course, I still speak with a fairly strong accent, I'm told, and I mess up pronunciations here and there, and I still make grammatical mistakes, but this gave me the confidence to finally join my first German Verein 2 months ago. And this is where I really learned the German I learned in class is not the German spoken in my Verein. Now, sure, you will get this experience in most places in the world. You'll learn to speak a language properly, perhaps, but then you'll hear that it is spoken completely differently on the streets than what you learn from the books.
Hey, that's just the way we talk in the clink.
But what I'm talking about in Germany is even more different than just learning the popular slang of today. Because here's the thing they don't tell you about learning German. When you learn German, you are learning one version of German from thousands of versions that is spoken, and that version of German you're learning only gets you so far. Germany has a long history of adjusting borders, tribes, kingdoms, and through much of this history, Germanic speakers in different groups were developing their own flavor of their language. This has led to a complicated patchwork of dialects all across the German-speaking world. I've done a whole series of videos comparing various German dialects and trying to show just how diverse German actually is, and when I've tried to explain this to my American family and friends, it is quite hard to explain because they often imagine what is more common in the US, which are accent differences. For the most part, if an American travels to another part of the US, they will have no problem understanding the other talking. Sure, there are some English accents that can be hard for even us to understand.
Okay. Just have the defense run sprints.
An accent is simply how one pronounces words, a style of pronunciation. A dialect includes not just pronunciations, but also one's general vocabulary and grammar. We've traveled to Scotland or some parts of England, and we've stared blankly at some of them, wondering if we truly were speaking the same language.
I do, honestly, and you know what? What's the point? And you're going to hit me on the next couple of days.
No,
when
I'm not going to talk to you.
When you're known to Terry, when you're away bubbling and green, you're going to come bubbling and green on your knees, and you're going to put.
So of course, there are dialects even in English, and I've done a whole video.
You guys, what are your thoughts on this video? One thing about learning a language is that when you learn from the books, what you hear on the streets are totally different from what you are being taught. What you hear from the street are totally different from what you learn in class or what you learn on all these online classes. And it's only a country that speaks one particular language that you can say you want to learn, because there are so many countries that have different dialects, and some people from the south do not understand what people from the north are saying, and vice versa. But let me know what you guys think. Do you think German is an easy language to learn? And if you happen to be in the south and you move to the north, can you communicate fluently since you think you have learned the language? I would love to hear your thoughts on this particular one. And how many languages are there in Germany? Leave your thoughts in the comment section and let's continue watching, you guys.
I found it to be really funny when we quizzed a Canadian and Brit on our different dialects to see if we could understand each other, and we're surprised at how different our English can actually be.
So the second word that we have is the word Yaldav. Yaldav.
It doesn't sound like it's English. Oh my goodness. Okay, can you say that word one more time?
The word is Yaldav.
Yaldav.
Any guesses?
That's German.
Aries?
So to me, honestly, it sounds like something out of Lord of the Rings.
So let's get back to German. The German a non-native speaker like me learns in school is almost always going to be Hochdeutsch, which is what we can call Standard German. A big step forward towards a standardization of German was with Martin Luther's translation of the Bible, but throughout history, Germans have slowly moved towards a standard version of German, basically so that all of the various people of different dialectical groups could communicate with one another. Today, Hochdeutsch is spoken on much of television and media, taught in schools, and is the official language of communication for Germans from different parts of the country. Often, a regional dialect is learned at home and is spoken in daily lives, but there can be code switches you can observe when Germans come in contact with someone from another region who doesn't speak their dialect, and they switch to speaking standard German. You can even find often in media where personalities who I am used to hearing speaking Hochdeutsch so they can reach a wider audience across the country will be asked to speak in their native dialect, and it feels like their personality completely changes when they do.
Mach ich.
Jetzt kommt noch eine Besonderheit.
Oh. Weil wir es ja schon so gut verstanden haben.
Wir sind jetzt seit 6 Wochen hier im Studio und ich will, dass jeder von euch durch einen kleinen psychologischen Trick von mir sich so fühlen kann wie zu Hause. Jeder von euch darf ab jetzt nur noch in seinem Heimatdialekt reden. Okay? Also, Joko, du bist aus dem Rheinland. Du redest jetzt Rheinländisch.
Another time that Germans will code switch from dialect and speak standard German is when they might come in contact with someone like me, a non-native, who they can confidently conclude won't speak their dialect.
Yeah.
If you ask any German where the best Hochdeutsch is spoken, most would say in Hanover. However, a confusing aspect of that is that the Hoch in Hochdeutsch is a geographical term referring to the high country, which is higher in elevation, to the north, which is low and flat. And where does Hanover land? In Niederdeutschland. So why would they speak Hochdeutsch so well there? A couple of theories exist, but one theory is that the Low German spoken there was so different from High German that when they learned it, they basically had to learn it as a foreign language, and therefore were guided by the written language, learning it very accurately and well. But here's my problem. The best standard German, like what I learned, is spoken here, but I live here. I live in a region called the Pfalz, and here people speak a dialect called Pfälzisch. What is a potato in standard German? Kartoffel. But in Pfälzisch, Grumbier, a completely different word. Again, most Germans I come in contact with will switch from dialect to standard German if they are able to, and few dialectical words or pronunciations might slip in here and da, but it won't be a problem. However, for example, we have neighbors in their 80s and the wife almost strictly speaks in our region's dialect. There are times where her husband, who speaks better standard German or Hochdeutsch, will actually have to translate for me what she said in Pfälzisch into standard German so that I can understand her. But it was when I joined a local social club where I really was thrust into Pfälzisch. When a group of common dialect speakers get together, it just makes sense for them to stick to that. Therefore, when we all get together, we speak German the whole time, or really, I should say, they speak Pfälzisch, and I nod along as if it is my first day in Germany and I don't speak German at all over again. An example of how they speak different from standard German, but isn't as drastically different as the difference between Kartoffel and Grumbier, would be how one day our group was talking and everybody said, komm nicht mehr. Initially, this went right over my head, but then I was able to figure out, oh, they just said he doesn't come anymore, or roughly what should have been, kommt nicht mehr. Again, I struggle with my Aussprache. I've had to learn that they swallow the endings of most words. Auch simply becomes all. Regen is re. Then there's some different ways of, for example, saying goodbye. Rather than auf Wiedersehen or tschüss, it's alla or alla dann. I truly don't believe I'm exaggerating when I say I've gone from 95 to 99% comprehension of spoken German when I'm listening to standard German to 50 to 60% when they are speaking Pfälzisch. Maybe. So to answer the question of, after 1 year of intensive German language plus living in Germany for 5 years, can I communicate with the locals and speak fluent German? The answer is generally yes, but more specifically, I can communicate with locals if they speak to me in standard German, which is very common. But if I'm talking to a group of Germans speaking their native dialects of Germans, the wheels kind of fall off the wagon at that point. However, I will point out that it's not just me, a non-native speaker, that has this problem.
Ja, hallet's! Sapperlot, Holzöpfel und Zipfelkappe. Florian, du hast schon wieder als Erster gedruckt.
Ich verstehe kein Wort, aber
Ich verstehe auch nichts von dir.
There are a few other transplants originally from other parts of Germany who have also said that when they arrived in our area, it took them a good 6 or so months before they started getting the hang of understanding what was being said by the local dialect. Otherwise, they had just as much trouble as me. They were just able to pick up the dialect a little faster than me. And if you were surprised to hear about the complications Germans have with understanding other Germans, just wait until you learn the truth about how Switzerland and Austria, where they also speak German, how different they speak can be as well.
Wow.
Holzöpfel und Zipfelkappe. Florian, du hast schon wieder als Erster gedruckt.
So I would be interested in knowing from the Germans watching. Have you had this experience in another part of Germany or German-speaking country? What dialect is the hardest for you to understand? To see who made it this far into the video, the random question of the week is, who has the better burger, Burger King or McDonald's? Thanks so much for watching, guys. Be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, and I will see you in my next video.
You guys, that was such an interesting video, and as a foreigner, the best form of German for you to learn is the standard German. You really do not have any business learning the German dialect except you've been there for such a long time and you have the time to do so. But if you really want to communicate generally, you have to go for the standard language. Let me know what you guys think about this video. Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. And do all Germans understand each other? I really want to hear your thoughts, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys.